Welcome back. Tomorrow, the U.S. Supreme Court will consider whether the landmark Voting Rights Act remains constitutionally valid. Civil rights groups fear the court's conservatives are prepared to rule unconstitutionally what the ACLU calls the most important piece of civil rights legislation Congress has ever enacted. WVUA's Daniel Sparkman spoke with one of the people who will present the case before the Supreme Court and joins us now with more. Daniel.
Yeah, Tamika, the law requires states with a history of discrimination at the polls to get federal permission before making any changes to their election procedures. That includes things from congressional redistricting to changing the locations of polling places. Now, the challenge to the law comes from Shelby County, a mostly white suburb just south of Birmingham. It argues that the pre-clearance requirement, which covers 9 entire states and 66 counties in 7 other states, is unconstitutional. The areas covered by the law, it says, include some localities that have made substantial reforms but leave out other parts of the country that have failed to root out discrimination at the polls. Just a few minutes ago, I spoke with attorney Del Ho, who will be defending the act in court tomorrow.
I think there are two real reasons for that. The first is that even though the country has seen enormous progress since 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was initially passed, progress that we all are rightfully, I think, proud of, much of it really the result of the Voting Rights Act itself. Even though we've seen a lot of progress, there are still a lot of problems with voting discrimination in this country. When Congress considered this issue in 2006, they learned of hundreds of examples of voting discrimination that the Voting Rights Act blocked. And what that record showed us is that the Voting Rights Act really remains essential today. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the Voting Rights Act and Section 5 of the Act specifically continues to apply in those parts of the country that need those protections the most. There was a study that Congress considered that showed that over 80% of voting discrimination lawsuits that are successful happen in these areas of the country where Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act applies, even though those parts of the country are only 25% of the country's population. So we have a specific area of the country that has more significant problems with voting discrimination, and that's where Section 5 is necessary.
Okay, and let's talk specifically about areas like Shelby County, Alabama, and areas that really don't have a large African-American population. Why is this act still so relevant in those areas? Sure.
Well, in some areas of the country that maybe don't even have significant minority populations, those are oftentimes the places where we need something like the Voting Rights Act the most to ensure that minority voters have an equal opportunity to participate in the political process and elect candidates and have their voices heard. Sometimes in places where, say, the minority community is particularly large, minority voters can really exercise their influence at the ballot box in such a way that maybe the special protections of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act aren't as necessary as they are in places where minority voters maybe don't have that kind of critical mass in order to make sure that their voices are heard and that they are protected from discrimination. So maybe sometimes in places where the minority community is a little bit smaller, that's precisely where we need the Voting Rights Act.
Now, this is the 5th time in the last 40 years that the Supreme Court has taken up this topic, and the previous 4 times they have ruled that the act is constitutional. The justices will hear oral arguments in the case tomorrow and rule sometime before the current court term ends in late June. Tamika.
All right. Switching gears to our weather, it's rather chilly out there tonight.
Yeah, cold
really,
tonight,
really
Tamika. Good news is it warms up just a little bit tomorrow, but then it gets a lot colder for the weekend. Hey, how about some snow to talk about over the weekend? We'll talk more about it. I don't think we'll see a big deal out of it, but we'll talk more about it coming up. The weather, here's today's weather almanac, 57 this afternoon, 47 last night. How cold does it get tonight? How about that weekend forecast? Weather is after the break.
WVUA brings you tomorrow's headlines tonight. In tomorrow's Tuscaloosa News, find out who are the MVPs for cross country and volleyball. Plus, the Bama Bell is getting a new lease on life. And in tomorrow's TuscaloosaNews.com web poll, have you ever been on the Bama Bell?
Alabama's home team weather.
Good Tuesday evening. We'll check out that Tuscaloosa Tower cam looking off in the west direction down University Boulevard towards downtown. Tuscaloosa conditions getting pretty cold outside. If you've been out about, you probably noticed chilly weather all day long today. And even tonight, it is getting colder. We'll check out the temperature map. Most spots are in the 40s right now. Some 30s showing up towards Jackson and Hattiesburg. Upper 30s, some of those slipping into Sumter and Marengo counties for those 30-degree temperatures. But all of it's going to dip into the 30s later on tonight. Any warmer stuff hard to find, but Dothan 52, Pensacola 52 or 54 right now. Mobile reporting 52. So it's cool everywhere. Not only us in the southeast, pretty much a good chunk of the nation, and cooler weather for this time of year. Temperatures sub-freezing just to the northwest of us. We're talking 30s to upper 20s out there across the Rocky Mountains and the plains. And some of that cold air is getting ready to really spill down to the south. Now, tomorrow we'll catch a break. I think it warms up just a touch tomorrow. Then it gets a lot colder, I think, later on this week. Good news is, hey, no chance of rain out there tonight. We'll stay rain-free. The rain is gone for a couple of days before some interesting stuff happens over the weekend, so no rain in between now and then. Notice the cloud cover starting to move out as this big upper-level low pinwheels to our north, and as that upper-level low pulls out, so with the cloud cover, we'll see some sun tomorrow, mixture of clouds and sun, and then it gets colder. So 46 tonight. Right now, Tuscaloosa will have that cloudy sky. Wind still pretty breezy out of the west-southwest at 12, but the dew point temperature is dropping. That means the air is drying out, so the clouds should start to disintegrate later on tonight. And 45 at 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll warm up a little bit tomorrow. We're talking 55 at lunch and 58 by 3 o'clock. Some spots south of I-20 could get close to 60 tomorrow. So overall, not looking that bad. We'll have that partly sunny sky for our plans on our Wednesday. And, yeah, the sun and clouds going to kind of come and go over the next 24 hours. You'll notice that tomorrow anyway. On Thursday, cloud cover starts thickening back up across the southeast as up here trough really digs out across the south. It means it gets colder as we're going to Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday. And time for a weekend plans. Here comes this upper level low, and that could bring some snow showers on Saturday. Don't think we see any accumulations. The air is going to be a little too dry for that, but don't be surprised to see several flakes flying around on Saturday. That would be fun to see, obviously, but I don't think we see any travel issues or any accumulation. So 37 tonight. That'll be our low temperature, cloudy skies for the most part, with some clearing late tonight. Tomorrow, temperatures top out in the upper 50s to around 60 in some spots. Partly cloudy and a dry day out there. 7-day forecast will go in the low 50s on Thursday as it cools off some. On Friday, talking upper 40s to around 50. So, yeah, it's going to get cooler later in the week. Also, the risk of some snow showers on Saturday. Again, no big deal there. No travel issues, no accumulations expected. We'll watch it close. Temperatures top out in the 40s on Saturday. Expect a hard freeze over the weekend. Look for overnight lows back in the upper 20s to mid-20s. Sunday night, a little bit of sunshine start off early next week. Another storm system will likely arrive sometime late in the day on Tuesday. Here is our Tuscaloosa Toyota Fishing Game forecast, home of the lifetime warranty. Best activity tomorrow for Wednesday happens at 3 p.m. Also, check us out on the radio, Moody Radio, 88.9 FM, Catfish 102.9. And as always, check us out on those online sources, Facebook, Twitter, and our weather blog.
All right, a lot of people will be watching the weather in the coming days.
Yeah.
A lot of people watching the basketball game tonight, Gary.
Yeah, Iron Bowl hoops, and Alabama looking, as we talked about last night, for some payback against the Auburn Tigers, and they got it. We've got an exciting night from Coleman Coliseum, plus same time, just across the street, really, the Bama baseball team heading across the street. Out the front door from Coleman Coliseum, the Tide was taking on Sanford, another in-state rival in baseball. Highlights of a busy night in sports coming up. Stay with us.
Now, the Tuscaloosa Chevrolet Sports Update with WVUA's Gary Harris.
Welcome back, everyone. Alabama versus Auburn round 2 tonight at Coleman Coliseum. The Tigers won the first meeting 49-37 back on February 6th at Auburn Arena. Tonight, the Tide was looking to get even, and big shot Robert Horry on hand, former Crimson Tide star and 7-time NBA champion. Watching Alabama get off to a hot start. Trevor Relaford see the 3, be the 3. He led Alabama with 21, tied out in front 7-2. Later, Levi Randolph whips the pass inside to Nick Jacobs, and the sophomore from Atlanta had a nice night tonight. Double-double, 10 points and 10 rebounds. Alabama in front 13-4, but Auburn would come back similar to the way they came back in the first game. Rob Chubb, the only Auburn player in double figures, gets the basket. Tigers trailed 23-16 at the half. Remember, they trailed 23-13 at the half down at Auburn and stormed back, but not tonight. Second half was all Alabama. Auburn misses. Relaford grabs it, gets it down to Retno Basahan, and the redshirt freshman from Amsterdam is really coming on. He's a physical kid. 10 points and 4 rebounds, tied up 38-21. Then Obasahan returns the favor to Relaford. Alabama up 48-27. As we said, Trevor led the Tide at 21 coming off that huge game down in LSU. Alabama wins 61-43. The 43 points for Auburn were a season low, like the 37 for Alabama at Auburn were a season low. Anthony Grant, post-game, talking about how his team showed some energy in the second half, and that propelled them to the big victory.
Yeah, I thought the improvement that we made from 20 days ago showed because we didn't let it rattle us. We continued to defend and stay the course, and we were able to find some offensive success in the second half and build the lead. I thought, Trevor did a great job tonight. He was locked in, he was vocal, he was energetic, and I thought it was contagious to our team.
We had a couple, the first half almost mirrored the first half of the game in Auburn. It was almost the identical score. But we couldn't find a way to get the ball in the hole in the second half. And we had a couple too many breakdowns too. And obviously the end of the first half when it was still anybody's game and we had too many breakdowns right there at the end of the half, even to give it that big of a spread. It's just, you can't miss as many shots as we're missing.
And look at this, Alabama right back a game out of first as Tennessee beats Florida 64-58. The Vols knock off the Gators, so Florida now with 3 losses in the SEC. Alabama just 1 back of Florida. Tennessee wins that one 64-58 over the Gators tonight in Knoxville. Tennessee has won 6 in a row in the SEC. Well, the Alabama football team got to celebrate at halftime of the game tonight as well because it was time to present the Foy ODK Sportsmanship Trophy at halftime of the Alabama-Auburn game. The Crimson Tide gets to keep that trophy again after beating Auburn back in November 49-0. And second largest margin of victory in the series for Alabama. They won 55-0 back in 1948. So it was time for Alabama to celebrate. Nick Saban got a good look at the trophy, then addressed the crowd.
I'd like to thank everyone here for supporting our team this year. I'm very, very proud of winning this trophy for our university, but also the SEC championship and the national championship.
Good night all the way around for Alabama. Would it be a good night for the baseball team against in-state rival Sanford? Started off poorly for the Tide. Top of the third, Drew McWhorter knocks one to right, scoring Tommy Corbin. Sanford up 3-0 over the Tide. They had Alabama's number last year, but not tonight. Bottom of the fifth was the big inning for Bama. They would score 4 times. Ben Moore goes for the steal. Nobody home. Ball's thrown into center field. Mikey White scores. Bama now down a couple of runs. Later in the fifth, Kenny Roberts. Tapper to short. He's fast. Bad throw. And Alabama able to score another run. Now down by 1. It's still in the fifth. Kyle Overstreet. Hot shot in front of the center fielder. That brought in Brett Booth and Kenny Roberts. Alabama scores 4 times in the frame. They hang on to win it tonight 5-4. They're now 7-1 on the season. They get ready to host Tulane this weekend. More basketball. The SIAC tournament going on over in Atlanta, and the Stillman men win over Clark Atlanta 84-77. So they advance. The women, though, are eliminated as they lose tonight 82-62, the final. Turning to prep hoops, the clash of titans is on tap for tomorrow afternoon at the BJCC when 5A second-ranked Bryant takes on Class 5A top-ranked Winona in the boys' state semifinals. Now, most observers consider the 32-2 Winona Dragons to be the best team in the state, regardless of classification. But Bryant, 30-3 themselves, and they can throw down, as you see right there. Head coach Sean Pekla says they're not going to be intimidated by anybody, including Winona.
Yeah, it definitely gives us motivation. That's one of the teams that we've watched all year. They've been 1 most of the year. All year. We've been 2 most of the year. And it would be great to see, how we actually stack up and compete against those guys. I think it'll be a great game. I don't think my guys will back down from them.
And, of course, we'll have coverage from Birmingham tomorrow, as well as coverage of the Greensboro game as they go for their 3rd straight 3A state championship. They're in the semifinals tomorrow night. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
This has been the Tuscaloosa Chevrolet Sports Update on WVUA. Roll, Chevy, roll.
People in Midland, Texas were a bit surprised by what the wind blew in. Take a look at this. Tumbleweeds nearly covered this home. As you can see, the weeds piled up along the house, on top, and even crammed in the backyard. Homeowner Josh Pittman was a bit lost for words when he first saw it. Pittman says he recently tore down a fence in his front yard, and that probably would have protected his home from the tumbleweed attack. He expects to spend the rest of the week cleaning up the mess. I think it's going to take a little longer than a week. That is a big mess.
Well, depends on how many people you got helping you to clean up.
That's true. I know he hates.
Yeah, don't light a match.
And I'm sure he hates he took that fence down as well.
Yeah.
What? Tumbleweed, man. Come after you.
That's right. Not a good day to be working outside the next couple of days.
Yeah, not really. It's going to be a little bit better tomorrow. Then it gets a lot colder as we go the next few days. And by the way, over the weekend, a whole lot colder. Temperatures top out in the 40s on Saturday, Sunday. Going to be windy on Saturday, and a few snow showers going to be possible. Don't expect anything to stick. Temperatures stay above freezing during the daytime, so no issues with that. Lows down to the 20s at night over the weekend. A hard freeze expected. So